Have you ever wondered how the distribution of savings affects family relationships and your quality of life in old age? In today's video, we dive into real-life stories and expert insights to explore the critical decision of whether or not to share your financial status with your children. We'll reveal how these choices can impact not just your well-being, but also the dynamics within your family. Watch until the end to uncover practical advice on balancing your financial legacy while maintaining family harmony and ensuring a fulfilling retirement. Don't miss out on this essential guide to making informed and compassionate decisions for your future. If you haven't yet subscribed, I highly recommend doing so and activating the notification bell to ensure you never miss a video. Your support means a lot to me as we continue to grow our community and reach more people with our content. If you enjoy the topic of this video, please leave a comment with the number 1. If it's not quite your cup of tea, drop a 0 in the comments. Your feedback is crucial in helping me create content that better serves you. Let's get started. Today, I want to shed light on a poignant reality. The complex dynamics of elderly parents living with their children often lead to unhappiness for all involved. Reflecting on the past, particularly in the 1950s and 60s, it was commonplace for aging parents to reside with their adult children due to a scarcity of housing options. During these times, family bonds were generally harmonious, and multi-generational households seemed to foster a sense of unity. However, as years have progressed, the landscape of family relationships has shifted. The once harmonious living arrangements have given way to increasing tensions, especially between mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law, or within blended families. What once might have been a supportive environment can now become a battleground of discord, occasionally escalating into heated arguments, or, in extreme cases, physical altercations. It's surprising to many that, despite today's improved living conditions and more spacious homes, these situations have become more fraught with conflict. Parents, who deeply wish to avoid intruding on their children's lives, often find themselves amid friction. Their children, on the other hand, typically desire to maintain their independence and preserve the sanctity of their household. Consider a recent example where a son and daughter-in-law not only resist living with the mother but also refuse to provide care for her during her illness. This situation underscores a profound sense of helplessness and highlights the emotional toll such arrangements can take on all parties. The idea of family support often clashes with the practicalities of modern life, leaving a trail of discontent and emotional strain. The poignant tale of Sister Wong unfolds as a reflection on family dynamics and the consequences of indulgence. At 58, Sister Wong's life took a harrowing turn last year when a stroke left her in need of care. In a heart-wrenching twist, her son and daughter-in-law, having abandoned her in her hometown, continued to insist that her husband relocate to their city to help look after their child. This request, made in the face of their own mother's distress, underscores a painful irony and reveals the deep-seated issues within their family. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Sister Wong and her husband have only one child, a son whom they have cherished and pampered since his birth. Their indulgence, treating him as the sole heir of the Lee family with unmatched adoration, has laid the groundwork for the current discontent. The son, raised under the watchful and loving eye of his mother, eventually married a woman from a neighboring village. What followed was a shift in family dynamics. The son, now a dutiful husband, became excessively compliant, prioritizing his wife's wishes above all else. In their view, adhering to the wife's desires has become a cornerstone of marital harmony. Soon after the marriage, the daughter-in-law's dissatisfaction with their living arrangements began to surface. Despite their substantial 2-story home over 200 square meters, she lamented its size, citing clutter as a reason for her discontent. Her insistence on splitting the household, under the pretext of needing more space, ultimately led to a demand for Sister Wong and her husband to vacate the premises. This decision came as a shock, even though Sister Wong had mentally prepared herself for such a possibility. In a bittersweet turn, Sister Wong found herself first residing with her mother-in-law before eventually moving into a newly constructed house. This story illustrates not just the practical challenges of living arrangements, but also the emotional toll of family decisions driven by entitlement and expectations. It serves as a somber reminder of how indulgence in changing family roles can lead to painful and unforeseen consequences. Just as Sister Wong and her husband began to settle into the comfort of their new home, a new wave of turmoil began to unravel their peace. The daughter-in-law, having recently given birth, made a new demand. She insisted that Sister Wong purchase an apartment in the city to ensure a better education for the child. The request was staggering. Buying a city apartment would require hundreds of thousands of yuan, a sum that would drain their carefully saved funds. Despite the financial strain, Sister Wong and her husband were cornered. Their son and daughter-in-law's threats of arguments and even divorce loomed over them, leaving them with no viable choice but to comply. In their desperation, Sister Wong and her husband scoured every possible source for a loan, scraping together what they could to meet the exorbitant demand. Once the city apartment was purchased, the son and his family swiftly moved in, expecting that the new living arrangements would solve all their problems. Yet, just as they began to enjoy their new home, another unexpected and distressing demand surfaced: the issue of caring for their grandchild. Ironically, the daughter-in-law, who had previously insisted on a separation due to dissatisfaction with their old home, now demanded that Sister Wong move to the city to take care of the child. This new request was a heavy blow to Sister Wong, who had just begun to savor the tranquility of her new home. She found herself torn between the newfound peace she had only recently achieved and the obligation to support her son's family. Reluctantly, and in a bid to avoid further conflict with her son, Sister Wong and her husband packed their belongings and embarked on a bus ride from their rural home to the bustling city. Upon their arrival, Sister Wong initially found solace in her new role, dedicating her days to cooking and tidying up the apartment. However, as time passed, the daughter-in-law's criticisms began to surface. Sister Wong, who had hoped for a period of adjustment and support, was met with constant complaints about the cleaning not being done to her daughter-in-law's exacting standards. This new chapter in Sister Wong's life illustrates a cycle of relentless demands and emotional strain, revealing the difficult reality of familial expectations and the toll they can take. What began as a quest for peace and stability is transformed into an ongoing struggle to navigate the shifting expectations and pressures imposed by loved ones. Sister Wong's story is a profound testament to the trials of familial obligations and the strain of navigating a troubled relationship with a daughter-in-law. Despite recognizing his wife's troubling behavior, Sister Wong's son was paralyzed by fear and reluctance to confront her, leading him to join in the criticism of his parents. This left Sister Wong feeling deeply wronged and isolated. In hushed conversations with her husband, she expressed her frustrations and sorrows, but these exchanges offered little solace or resolution. The situation reached a breaking point when Sister Wong discovered that the local specialties she had lovingly brought from her hometown were unceremoniously given away by her daughter-in-law. When she inquired about this disrespect, she was met with an explosive reaction. The daughter-in-law's anger quickly escalated into a violent confrontation, culminating in an assault on Sister Wong. The emotional and physical blow was crushing, and when Sister Wong turned to her son for support and justice, she found only silence and a plea for her to endure the mistreatment. Unable to bear the constant strain, Sister Wong made the difficult decision to return to her rural home. However, this respite was short-lived as the daughter-in-law, fueled by resentment and unwilling to relent, threatened divorce unless Sister Wong came back to the city to care for her grandchild. Torn between her well-being and the desire to preserve her son's marriage, Sister Wong felt trapped in an unending cycle of familial strife. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. In the city, Sister Wong endured relentless hardships, primarily caused by her daughter-in-law's unyielding demands and harsh treatment. Her health deteriorated over the years, culminating in a stroke that eventually forced her to return to her rural home. This return, though relief from the relentless torment, came with its own set of challenges as she had to depend on her husband for care. Reflecting on her life, Sister Wong's experiences underscore a tragic reality. Despite her sacrifices and efforts to maintain family harmony, she faced continuous hardship. If only her daughter-in-law had shown the same respect and care for her in-laws as she did for her parents, perhaps the outcome might have been different. Yet such reflections remain in the realm of what-ifs. Ultimately, Sister Wong's story reveals a deep and painful reality, perhaps a stark reflection of her fate and the complexities of family dynamics. Based on these experiences, I advocate for the separation of elderly parents from their adult children's households. The rationale behind this is multifaceted, and understanding these reasons may provide clarity. The generational divide. One significant reason is the generational gap. Consider how your eating habits and lifestyle have evolved over the decades. Just as dietary preferences and daily routines have transformed, so too have every aspect of life: clothing, shelter, transportation, and communication. For younger individuals, adapting to these changes is relatively straightforward. However, for the elderly, this shift can be overwhelming and challenging. Their worldviews and daily practices are often rooted in an entirely different era, making it difficult for them to assimilate into the modern ways of life that younger generations embrace effortlessly. The clash of perspectives. Another pressing issue is the inevitable friction between differing perspectives and expectations, particularly between mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law. An adage aptly captures this reality: you have your reasons, and I have mine. Family disputes are notoriously complex and often defy resolution, even by the most fair-minded individuals. The dynamics between mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law are notoriously fraught, and living under the same roof can exacerbate these tensions. Whether it's the stubbornness of a mother-in-law or the perceived unreasonableness of a daughter-in-law, the potential for conflict is heightened when family members are forced to share close quarters. The idealized harmony of a multi-generational household often clashes with the reality of these complex relationships, leading to inevitable discord. In such scenarios, unresolvable conflicts are likely to arise, perpetuating a cycle of dissatisfaction and strife. In essence, the separation of elderly parents from their children's homes can alleviate many of these challenges, providing each generation with the space and autonomy to live more peacefully. Understanding and respecting these dynamics can lead to healthier family relationships and a more harmonious living environment for everyone involved. The story of Grandpa F offers a poignant reflection on the complexities of family dynamics and the unexpected outcomes of long-held beliefs. At 75, Grandpa F recounts his life with a mixture of nostalgia and regret, shedding light on his journey from being a respected figure in his village to facing the harsh realities of old age. Grandpa F once believed that having many children was a mark of blessing and security. With 3 sons and a daughter, he felt assured that his old age would be well cared for. In his youth, he was highly regarded in his village, and his 3 sons commanded respect, ensuring that he would never be overlooked or undervalued. This sense of security was further reinforced by his belief that as his children grew, they would reciprocate the love and sacrifices he had poured into raising them. Throughout his life, Grandpa F and his wife dedicated themselves entirely to their children's well-being. They spared no effort, working tirelessly and often to the brink of exhaustion to provide the best for their offspring. Their hope was simple: that their children would one day care for them in return. However, the reality proved far different from their expectations. As his sons reached marriageable age, Grandpa F and his wife made significant financial sacrifices. They depleted their savings and incurred substantial debt to fund the weddings, working relentlessly on construction sites to pay off the obligations. Despite the heavy burden, Grandpa F never complained, believing that these sacrifices were necessary for his children's future success. When it came time for his daughter to marry, Grandpa F made a decision that would later weigh heavily on him. He demanded a substantial bride price of 500,000 yuan, which he gave to his sons, believing that this was fair compensation for raising his daughter and giving her away. He rationalized that this was not favoritism, but rather a deserved return on his investment in his daughter's upbringing. Yet this decision had unforeseen consequences. His son-in-law, who resented the large bride price, treated Grandpa F poorly, avoiding visits and neglecting his familial duties. Despite this, Grandpa F did not anticipate needing support from his daughter, as he was convinced that his sons would provide for him in his old age. Now, as he reflects on his life, Grandpa F grapples with the harsh reality of his situation. The children he once believed would be his pillar of support have not fulfilled those expectations. His story highlights a poignant lesson: the assumptions and sacrifices made in youth do not always guarantee the outcomes one envisions for old age. It serves as a sobering reminder of the unpredictability of family relationships and the importance of preparing for the future in ways that go beyond simply having children. As I look back on my life, the reality of my later years has been far different from what I once envisioned. After the death of my beloved wife, I found myself grappling with the inevitable decline that accompanies aging. My once robust health faltered, and the relentless strain of years of hard work left me unable to continue laboring. My retirement, though a relief from physical toil, came with its own set of challenges. Chief among them was the need for constant care due to my deteriorating health. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment on number 3 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Initially, my 3 sons, eager to honor the commitment of caring for their ailing father, agreed to take turns looking after me. The prospect of this arrangement brought me a glimmer of hope and joy. However, the reality proved less idyllic than I had hoped. Living a month at each son's home revealed a stark truth: their dedication was inconsistent, and their willingness to care for me faltered. Compounding this difficulty was the fact that my daughter-in-law harbored animosity towards me, making each visit uncomfortable and unbearable. Feeling deeply disheartened, I turned to my daughter for solace. Despite her deep filial piety, she faced her own set of challenges. My son-in-law, harboring resentment over the sizable bride price I had demanded years earlier, extended me little kindness. Although my daughter made every effort to care for me, the tension in her household prevented me from finding peace. This situation left me in a state of discontent, ultimately prompting me to return to my rural home. Back in my humble abode, I embraced a simpler, more independent existence. While my living conditions were modest, I found a sense of tranquility and self-reliance. I had come to accept that expecting my children to provide for me in my old age was not always realistic. Instead, I relied on my abilities, finding contentment in my efforts rather than in the support of others. This experience has led me to a significant realization: elderly parents and their children often face complex challenges when living together. It is not always conducive to happiness or harmony. The desire to please children by fulfilling their every wish can sometimes hinder their growth and sense of responsibility. True filial piety is not born from constant indulgence, but from understanding that effort and self-reliance are essential for achieving one's desires. In the end, the greatest challenge in life is balancing the fulfillment of our own needs with those of our children. Embracing contentment and self-sufficiency can lead to a more peaceful and joyful existence. It is through this lens that we must navigate our relationships with our children and find fulfillment in the life we have built. A spirited debate surrounds whether elderly parents should disclose their financial savings to their children. On one hand, proponents argue that transparency is necessary. They suggest that elderly individuals who may struggle with memory and are more susceptible to financial deception could benefit from sharing their financial status to safeguard their assets and avoid mismanagement. On the other hand, critics caution that revealing such information might lead to unending requests for money from children, potentially straining familial relationships and creating a sense of entitlement. Amidst this contentious discussion, the perspective of a 70-year-old woman named Aunt Jan offers a strikingly honest view. Her stance, though blunt, resonates with deep realism and sheds light on the complexities of managing familial finances. Aunt Jan, at 70, finds herself navigating the twilight of her life with a blend of quiet resilience and stark practicality. She is the mother of two, a daughter who lives far away with her family, and a son who has long worked in the city after his university graduation. Her husband passed away several years ago, leaving her to face the challenges of aging alone, albeit with a steady pension. Despite the solitude, Aunt Jan has managed her life with commendable independence. Her sense of duty to her children has driven her financial decisions. Over the years, she accumulated substantial savings, which she now views as a means to support her children rather than a personal cushion for old age. In an act of profound generosity, and without any hint of favoritism, Aunt Jan allocated her savings in a way that reflects her deep commitment to her children's well-being. She provided her daughter with a generous dowry of over 100,000 yuan and used additional funds to cover the down payment on a city apartment for her son. Remarkably, Aunt Jan did not set aside any funds for her own future needs. Her decision to fully invest her savings into her children's lives, while leaving herself with nothing, is both heart-wrenching and instructive. It illustrates the extent of her sacrifice and her belief that supporting her children's futures was paramount, even at the cost of her financial security. Aunt Jan's approach highlights the real-life implications of this debate. It underscores the emotional and practical dimensions of managing family wealth and the sacrifices parents are often willing to make. Her story serves as a powerful reminder that the issue of disclosing financial assets is deeply personal and intertwined with the values and circumstances of each family. Ultimately, Aunt Jan's experience invites us to consider the broader implications of financial transparency and familial support. It challenges us to weigh the balance between safeguarding one's well-being and providing for loved ones, recognizing that each decision comes with its own set of complexities and sacrifices. One day, Aunt Jan experienced a distressing shift in her physical health. Her once agile legs, which had carried her through years of independent living, suddenly became stiff and unresponsive. Alarmed, she sought medical help and was advised by the doctor to undergo further examination at a larger hospital, as there was concern about a potential blood clot. With a heavy heart and a touch of hope, Aunt Jan reached out to her son in the city, hoping he could accompany her to the hospital and offer some support. To her dismay, her son's response was less than reassuring. He informed her that he was away on a business trip, too engrossed in his work to be of any assistance. Furthermore, he claimed he had no money to contribute towards her medical expenses or hospitalization. Undeterred, Aunt Jan turned to her daughter, who lived far from her. Yet her daughter's response was equally disappointing. Despite Aunt Jan's plea for support, her daughter, preoccupied with her family responsibilities, could only transfer a meager 1,000 yuan, instructing her mother to manage on her own. When Aunt Jan expressed concern that the amount might be insufficient, her daughter's response was cold and dismissive. "Ask your son for money. Didn't you give all your money to him?" And then she abruptly ended the call. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 4 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Aunt Jan's heart ached with a profound sense of betrayal. She had always strived to be a supportive mother, investing heavily in her children's futures. She had given a substantial sum to her son for a down payment on his house, and occasionally assisted with his mortgage payments. Yet her son, who had benefited from her sacrifices, had become someone who spent without restraint and displayed no appreciation. Similarly, she had used her savings to purchase a car as a dowry for her daughter, only to face accusations of favoritism. Her daughter, instead of showing gratitude, resented the fact that her brother had received more financial support and took her frustrations out on Aunt Jan. Despite her unwavering dedication and the sacrifices she made, Aunt Jan found herself in a painful reality where her children, whom she had hoped would care for her in her time of need, were indifferent to her plight. They seemed more focused on their own needs and grievances than on providing the support and compassion she had once generously extended to them. Aunt Jan's situation is a poignant reminder of the emotional and practical challenges that come with aging, particularly when one's efforts to support and care for family members are met with indifference and resentment. It underscores the painful reality that sometimes the sacrifices made out of love and dedication can lead to feelings of neglect and betrayal when the time comes for the tables to be turned. Money can be a revealing mirror in any relationship, exposing the true nature of bonds that might otherwise remain hidden. The decision of whether to pass on all our savings to our children is fraught with complexity and reflects various realities of aging. In our recent group chat, Xiao Xiang shared a poignant story that highlights the delicate balance between familial duty and financial support. He recounted the experience of his neighbor, Mrs. Li, whose life and relationships were significantly impacted by this very dilemma. Mrs. Li, a widow who lost her husband many years ago, lived alone in the countryside while her son and daughter worked in the city. Although they would visit from time to time, their visits became infrequent, often stretching to months between appearances due to their busy schedules. This situation, while not uncommon, left Mrs. Li with a sense of isolation and a feeling of being overlooked. Recently, Mrs. Li began to suffer from severe knee pain. After a visit to the village doctor, she was advised to undergo surgery for what was diagnosed as a knee injury compounded by severe arthritis. With her health declining and the surgery urgently needed, Mrs. Li reached out to her son, hoping for support. However, he was on a business trip and suggested she contact her daughter instead. Her daughter did come to her aid, but her help came with an edge of criticism. As they navigated the hospital procedures together, the daughter reproached her mother, saying, "You shouldn't have given all your money to my brother." This statement was not only a rebuke of Mrs. Li's financial decisions, but also a reflection of the resentment that can build up when financial expectations are unmet. The story of Mrs. Li underscores a crucial reality: our financial decisions and how we manage our resources can have profound effects on our relationships. In Mrs. Li's case, her choice to allocate her savings to her son, perhaps out of a sense of duty or expectation, left her vulnerable and exposed to criticism from her daughter. It reveals how money can influence familial dynamics, sometimes leading to feelings of resentment or disappointment when expectations are not aligned. This narrative is a stark reminder that giving away all our savings to our children is not merely a financial decision, but one that affects the emotional landscape of our relationships. Whether we choose to support our children with our resources or hold on to them, it's essential to consider the potential implications on our own well-being and familial harmony. Mrs. Li's story is a profound testament to how financial decisions can intricately weave into the fabric of our relationships and our sense of security. Once a successful businesswoman, Mrs. Li had amassed considerable savings, which should have paved the way for a comfortable retirement. Yet, her decision to channel most of her wealth towards her children's needs instead of securing her future led to unexpected consequences. With a heart full of hope and a desire to ensure her children's well-being, Mrs. Li poured her savings into purchasing a house and a car for her son, and even contributed her retirement funds to her daughter-in-law, hoping to foster a supportive family environment. Her intentions were clear: she wanted to build a cushion of familial support for her old age. Yet, the reality fell short of her expectations. Despite her generous investments, Mrs. Li found herself facing a starkly different reality. Her son and daughter-in-law, whom she had hoped would be her pillars of support, expressed little gratitude. During her surgery, her son's remarks, "Didn't you earn all that money from me?" cut deeply, revealing a lack of appreciation and respect for her sacrifices. While her daughter remained by her side, her son and daughter-in-law used their busy schedules as a convenient excuse to avoid visiting, leaving her daughter to bear the brunt of the medical expenses. This situation poignantly illustrates the saying that hearts can't withstand the test of money, and sometimes neither can family bonds. Mrs. Li's experience highlights a crucial truth: when we give everything to others, we may find ourselves in a vulnerable and regretful position. The sense of security that financial resources can provide is not just about having funds for emergencies, it's about maintaining a degree of control over one's life and ensuring that one's own needs are met. For the elderly, savings are more than just numbers. They are a form of self-reliance and a safeguard against uncertainty. Mrs. Lee's story serves as a reminder of the delicate balance between generosity and self-preservation. While her situation might be an exception, it underscores the importance of thoughtful financial planning and the need to preserve a sense of security as we navigate our later years. How does the distribution of savings affect the elderly? If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment on number 5 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. 1. Impact on family relationships. Welcoming an elderly family member into your home is akin to embracing a precious gem, one that adds a layer of depth and warmth to the household. The presence of a senior often weaves a unique tapestry of unity and joy, serving as the emotional cornerstone of the family. Their wisdom and life experiences can act as guiding stars, fostering a sense of stability and nurturing a loving atmosphere. Yet the currents of modern life, with its emphasis on personal freedom and individual pursuits, often clash with the values and rhythms of the older generation. This divergence in priorities can sometimes create a chasm between the young and the elderly, leading to conflicts and misunderstandings. As our cherished seniors approach retirement, the task of managing their savings and assets becomes critical. A well-thought-out plan can ensure that everyone's needs are met with fairness and respect. However, if these financial resources are not distributed thoughtfully, the resulting discord can strain family ties to the breaking point, sometimes even resulting in legal disputes that overshadow the familial bonds once held dear. In essence, while an elderly family member is a treasure trove of love and wisdom, the careful management of their legacy and needs is essential to maintaining harmony and avoiding the shadows of discord that can mar these precious relationships. 2. Impact on the elderly's quality of life. For many elderly individuals, the savings they have meticulously accumulated throughout their lives are intended to enrich their twilight years with comfort and joy. How these funds are allocated can profoundly shape their day-to-day existence and overall well-being. The process of dividing these assets is often fraught with emotional and practical challenges, as it requires a delicate balance of fairness and personal intent. Navigating this complex terrain is rarely straightforward for seniors, who may find it difficult to distribute their property equitably among their loved ones. Long-held traditions and personal biases can influence their decisions, sometimes leading to imbalances that affect their happiness and peace of mind. To enhance their quality of life and ensure a more harmonious distribution, the elderly must embrace a more modern perspective, one that prioritizes fairness and equality. By moving beyond entrenched viewpoints and striving for an even-handed approach, they can foster a greater sense of satisfaction and contentment. Such a shift not only benefits the elderly themselves, but also helps in cultivating a more harmonious and supportive family environment, ultimately leading to a more fulfilling and serene phase of life. 3. Impact on the elderly's medical care. In today's world, many seniors are shielded from the anxiety of mounting medical bills thanks to retirement medical insurance, which often covers a substantial portion of their healthcare expenses. This financial safety net allows many families to manage medical costs more comfortably. However, the way elderly individuals allocate their savings can have significant implications for their future care, particularly if health issues arise. When it comes to managing the distribution of their savings, elderly parents face a complex dilemma, especially in families with multiple children. There can be an underlying tension regarding who will inherit the assets and who will take on the responsibility of providing care. This situation is often compounded by the traditional expectation that caregiving responsibilities fall disproportionately on certain family members, typically the ones who are favored in the financial distribution. Caring for aging parents should ideally be a collective responsibility shared by all their children, reflecting a sense of unity and mutual support. When elderly individuals fall ill, their need for companionship and care becomes paramount, emphasizing the importance of an equitable and thoughtful approach to asset distribution. To navigate this challenging issue effectively, seniors should consider adopting a forward-thinking perspective on savings distribution. Traditional views that solely depend on sons for elder care are becoming outdated. In modern times, daughters often play a significant role in supporting their parents, with many women achieving career success and financial stability on par with their male counterparts. For families with only one child, it is entirely reasonable to expect that the child, regardless of gender, will be a central figure in providing support. Ultimately, the distribution of savings should be guided by fairness, practicality, and the unique circumstances of each family. By embracing a more contemporary view and acknowledging the evolving dynamics of family roles, elderly individuals can make informed decisions that balance their financial security with their need for compassionate care. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment on number 6 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. How wise seniors ensure a joyful and fulfilling retirement. For many elderly individuals, setting aside a retirement fund is a prudent way to ensure financial security in their later years. This reserve not only provides a buffer for unexpected expenses but can also accrue interest, offering a source of income that can be distributed according to their wishes. One effective strategy involves allocating their savings through a will, taking into account the level of care each child is provided over the years. However, the decision to withhold financial assistance from children who may need it can sometimes come across as unfeeling, despite the practical reasoning behind it. To strike a balance between supporting their children and preserving their financial well-being, many savvy seniors choose to divide their savings equally, half for their children and half for their use. This approach allows them to enjoy their retirement without becoming overly reliant on their children, who should ideally be striving for success and independence. By retaining a portion of their savings, seniors not only secure their enjoyment and comfort but also help to minimize potential conflicts with their children. The key to a harmonious family dynamic lies in open communication and mutual understanding. In families with multiple children, it is important to distribute savings in a way that reflects the unique circumstances and contributions of each family member, ensuring a fair and equitable approach. Ultimately, while elderly individuals may have personal preferences for how their savings are allocated, striving for fairness and transparency is essential. This thoughtful approach helps to foster family harmony and allows seniors to fully embrace and savor the joys of their retirement years. Thank you for joining us as we explored the profound impacts of managing savings and care in our later years. From understanding the pivotal role elderly family members play in our lives to the nuances of equitable asset distribution and the delicate balance of financial support, we've delved into some critical aspects of ensuring a fulfilling and harmonious retirement. We'd love to hear from you. What insights have you gained from today's discussion? Please share in the comments below one thing you've learned and how you plan to apply it to your own life or family. Your thoughts and experiences could inspire and help others facing similar challenges. If you enjoyed this video and found it valuable, please leave your comment below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue bringing you insightful and meaningful discussions. Thank you for watching.